in our last lesson we traced the impact that the print revolution had left throughout Europe. We also talked about how during the medieval times the European countries had quite low literacy rates, but by the end of the 18th century, the literacy rates of many European countries went very high, and those went as high as 60% to 80% in many countries. But will you be able to tell me what has been the reason that contributed to this surge in literacy rates? Well, it can be attributed to the print revolution, because it was with the print revolution that books were now being spread among the masses. The masses were in the process of educating and enlightening themselves, and in turn this contributed to the growth of literacy rates. So all these things were the direct outcome of the print revolution, and this print revolution was also facilitated by the introduction of the Gutenberg printing press. So can you understand the huge significance that Johann Gutenberg has left in the history of printing technology in Europe? Now during this point of time, not only scholarly books were being published, because various kinds of popular literature were also published in order to cater to different sections of the society. Not all people read about all the philosophies and theories, and these people were the ones who read about popular things, who read about things which would entertain them. And the publishers also took into account these readers' requirements, which is why popular literature like almanacs, ballads, folk tales and various other things were being published at this point of time. Now these almanacs were ritual calendars which were published annually, and these provided different kinds of geographical information like the happening of day and night, or the time of high tide and low tide. So these were the different kinds of things that were meant to provide entertainment to the masses. So we can understand how the use of print had diversified by this point of time. But not all people were rich enough to go to the bookstores and procure the books, and to this end the booksellers employed peddlers. Now what were these peddlers supposed to do? These peddlers used to roam in the villages, and they used to carry small cheap versions of different books, and from these peddlers the people who used to live in the villages and could not afford to go to the bookstores used to get hold of their copies. So in all kinds of ways the publishers and the printers were very intent on reaching a wide audience, and they wanted to cater to all the sections of the society, be that the wealthy aristocrats or the poorest of peasants and workers. So in England the peddlers who were employed by the booksellers were known as chapmen, and the books they used to sell by faring through the village streets were known as penny chap books. Now these penny chap books were small cheap books which were sold for only a penny, which is why these were known as penny chap books. Likewise in France there were the Bibliothèque Bleue. Now this was similar to the penny chap book that was sold by the petty peddlers in England. In France this book used to be sold, and this was very small in size. Now the quality of the print as well as the paper was quite low, which is why it was cheap in cost, and these books were bound in blue covers, which is why these came to be known as Bibliothèque Bleue. And in this way the booksellers were able to reach even the poorest sections of the society, because these kinds of books were very readily available and those were very cheap in price. Now let me ask you a question before proceeding with this lesson any further. In England the petty peddlers sold small cheap books which were known as Bibliothèque Bleue or penny chap book. Which of these do you think is the correct answer? Well, the correct answer is penny chapbook. The petty peddlers known as chapmen used to sell these penny chapbooks in England, which were sold for only a penny. And Bibliothèque Bleue were the books which were sold by the peddlers in France. Now during this time, various periodical press also developed, because these periodical presses were the places where different forms of printed materials came into being, and these periodical presses sought to combine and bring together current affairs and entertainment. So people were now able to get information pertaining to current affairs and entertainment together. So how do you think was this established? This was done through the publication of newspapers and journals. Now newspapers provide us information on current affairs, and journals provide us information on current affairs as well as entertainment. And newspapers at this point of time were providing people with information on different kinds of things that were happening throughout the globe. Earlier on, all people knew was what was happening locally. Whenever any war was being fought, they got to know about the results or the outcome of the war only when the soldiers came back home. It was not possible for them to know about the things that were happening in different continents. But now it were the newspapers who now brought a lot of information to people's homes pertaining to trade, warfare and different kinds of activities that were happening throughout the globe. So the periodical presses were very important that were emerging at this point of time, because people were now able to know about different kinds of things, and all these things were happening only because of the print revolution. So the bottom line of this discussion would be that all these things happened only because the print revolution happened in Europe. Now the print revolution brought about a lot of changes in the society, culture, politics, religion of Europe, and this is a point that we have been discussing all along. And at the same time, the 17th and the 18th centuries in Europe witnessed the Age of Enlightenment. Now what do we understand by this Age of Enlightenment? This was a period of immense intellectual, philosophical and scientific developments. So different kinds of developments were taking on various fronts, like intellectual developments, philosophical developments, scientific developments or even religious developments. And the new ideas owe a lot to the print revolution, because it is with the printer technology and printed materials that these ideas were now reaching the masses. So as we mentioned, scientific and philosophical ideas now begin to reach the masses through books, newspapers, journals. So earlier on, all people knew was what the church and the clergy told them. But now people had their new books, they had newspapers, journals, and on these books various enlightenment theories and philosophies were printed. These newspapers told people about the things which were happening in different parts of the world. And at the same time, these journals also provided a lot of information on current affairs. So through all these printed materials, the Enlightenment ideas now started reaching the masses. The English mathematician, physicist and astronomer Sir Isaac Newton is famous, and he is very well known to all of us. And his ideas now spread among the masses only because of printed materials availability, because he was now able to spread his theories to an audience of scientifically minded people only through printed materials. I'm sure you have read about Newton's laws of motion in your physics lessons. Well, these three laws of motion, along with many of Newton's theories, along with many of Enlightenment philosophers' theories, would have never reached the masses had the print revolution not happened. So it was the print revolution that was the foundation of this spread of ideas, of this dissemination of knowledge that was happening throughout Europe around this point of time. Now during this time, the wide circulation of books also made it possible for the spread of ideas of the Enlightenment thinkers like Thomas Paine, Voltaire, Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Now these were many of the Enlightenment thinkers who were elucidating their opinions in the form of theories and ideas, and these ideas were reaching the masses through the books. So the point of origin of everything would be the spread of a print culture and the spread of a reading culture in Europe. Now by this time, that is by the mid 18th century, the people of Europe had come to the realization that books had grown to be the vehicles to circulate not just the Enlightenment ideas but new ways of thinking as well. Because earlier on, all that they knew was what was sanctioned by the church. They did not know anything else. They did not know about the society as a whole, about the societal politics, about culture, about different countries. But now everything was facilitated by the wide circulation of books. And so books not just became the medium for the spread of ideas, but books also became the medium for voicing one's opinions. Because in the absence of books, will it be possible for any writer, any artist, any theorist to propagate their ideas before the masses? It will not be possible for do so. And books are absolutely important, because without books you'll never be able to know the things that are happening in different parts of the world. It is through books that you get to know about different things. And it is for this reason that you are taught a host of lessons in your school. And it was since the mid 18th century that the circulation of books and ideas among the masses was now proliferating. Now many people were of the opinion that knowledge that was gathered from the book was the real key to liberate societies from the clutches of ignorance. Because if you do not know about your position in the society, about how the society and its politics function, about how the government is functioning, you will not be able to think in new ways. So the knowledge that was gathered from the books at this point of time was considered the real key to liberate societies from clutches of ignorance, because it is with enlightenment that you will be able to think in new ways. Now, if I try to hinder the process of your thinking, you will not be able to question what I am teaching, what I am telling you. And it is only because you know that different things are happening, you will be able to contest my ideas if I try to explain something wrong to you. So knowledge is at the foundation of progress. Without knowledge, you can never proceed in life. Without knowledge, no society can develop. And all these things were happening because of the print revolution. In this lesson, we have focused at great length on the spread of a reading culture following the print revolution. In our subsequent lesson, we will be taking this discussion ahead by talking about how many ideas were now spreading among the masses, and now how the masses were ready to overthrow the existing social orders. And in that lesson, we will be focusing on one very crucial event in history, to be very specific, and we will learn about that in context of the print revolution. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. You can also register for free at DeltaStep.com or download the DeltaStep app to learn one-to-one with our amazing teachers, or to get access to all our 5,000 plus amazing videos as per your school syllabus. Master each topic with our adaptive practice technology. Get million plus questions with step-by-step solutions and unlimited mock tests. Get all your doubts resolved instantly. Learn via games and win amazing prizes like PlayStations and iPads. So at DeltaStep, learning is not just fun and easy, it's rewarding too. So register for free now.